rightly said. My name is Ranga Owino. I'm a bioethicist and an ethics fellow at the Ranga Institute. I'm going to be presenting to you a commentary on ethical implications of the existing disparity in a tuberculosis care setting. And in my definition, I found it necessary to present to you what is gender. And this is considered socially constructed roles, behaviors, and activities that may be considered as appropriate within a certain society, as defined to males or females, the boys and girls. And then gender disparity in healthcare refers to the systematic differences that shape health outcomes, access to care between men and women. Background. TB remains one of the pressing global health burdens, with the highest percentage of it covering the low and middle income countries where Uganda lies. According to the World Health Organization report of 2024, it estimated that about 10.8 million people developed TB, and 95% were within the low and middle income countries. And Uganda is considered as amongst the 30 high burden TB countries. However, the funny bit is that the majority of these cases are missed and which cover the men. Most of the men are not registered when it comes to treatment, access, and even diagnosis, because for you to be registered within treatment, you have to first be access the care that is available. That is also that in a year, one person with TB can affect between 5 to 15. Now imagine the men that are missed out there. How many people do they go ahead by affecting with TB? More than half of the TB infections are attributed to contact with men, according to the WHO. The United Nations High Level meetings of 2018 and 2023 called for the recognition of men as having the highest prevalence of TB. And as you can see here, it is clearly showing that when you see the new cases, the notification rate, new cases and relapses, you see the ones in orange, these are men. It's more prevalent in men. But when it comes to access to TB care, again it is men who miss out on tuberculosis care. Despite considerable investments in our setting, the Ministry of Health is doing a lot to invest in TB care. Males exhibit suboptimal health-seeking behavior in that they tend not to go to facilities on the assumption that they are strong, and they end up missing accessing tuberculosis care. When you look at the TB prevalence cycle of 2014-2015, it still found out that it's 4 times. TB is 4 times more prevalent in men than in women. Why should we be concerned about this existing gender disparity? Men constitute the majority of the undiagnosed TB cases. And this speaks to the fact that they also bear a disproportionate burden of untreated disease, which they go on spreading, or they act as transmission agents. Delayed care seeking increases disease transmission, and thus worsens the treatment outcome, because oftentimes they present facilities at later stage, which implies that at times the disease has already progressed to a certain level and also has an impact on the outcome. This does not only hamper the WHO NTP strategy, but also raises eminent ethical questions. And the purpose of this comment, discussing this based off the ethical principles. How does this existing disparity impact or relate to the ethical principles? When you look at the aspect of principle of respect for persons, this requires that persons or individuals are supported to exercise their individual autonomy and treated with dignity to decisions they make about their healthcare. However, there are cultural constructions that present to men some sort of masculinity. And when they reason on the side of masculinity, they find it not worth going to seek healthcare, which in some way minimizes their right to access the care, which is universally available. In principle, child care is open to all, but then it is so worrying that men tend not to go for these services. When checking South Africa and similar countries, being a man is considered as being strong. And therefore, you end up not going for this care you need to go because you feel like you can still fight the disease. And you miss out the opportunity to be diagnosed and initiated for treatment. Many decisions not to seek health care may not be perceived as entirely free, but maybe because they are constrained by social expectation, because the man they perceive as being strong, you end up not going to seek the care you ought to. So it might not be an individual free decision. However, it is defined by the social constructs that you believe men are strong, and then you end up not going for the care you ought to. The aspect of justice. When you see this, you see this? It affects both male and females. So if we have services that are equal without considering the differences, the inequities that are existing within the facility, then it is not fair to this person. However, this person is able to get whatever he is trying to look at. And then now here, this is how the program should be designed in a way that even those that are not having, are not able to meet what they ought to, they are given additional consideration so that they are able to access the care they need. A case in point, men we tend to be so busy. But when you look at the health facilities close early. By the time you leave work, you go to the facility has already closed. So in that way, the service is open, but it's not. You're not able to access it because of your engagement as a man. So there is need to have such programs that are equitable enough to cater for even those that are disadvantaged. And at the end, shall be able to fight TV.
Okay, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. The fact that men don't access or don't fully utilize the available services does not only harm them, but also extends to their families, the household where they stay, because they go there and transmit the bacilli to the household members and even in communities where they live. Like I mentioned earlier, WHO notes that the majority of the TB that is registered is gotten through contact with men. So if a man is not treated, presents as a burden to the community where they live. The principle of non-maleficence applies not only in clinical care, but also how health systems function. The neglect of this existing gender disparity in tuberculosis care amounts to one form of indirect harm, particularly when there exists substantial evidence calling for gender-tailored interventions to address such unnecessary inequities. Now, the principle of beneficence emphasizes that there is need for continuous effort to achieve ethically sound and gender-responsive policies and programming that will entail maximization of benefits to the affected parties. In this case, TB affects both male and female. There is need for gender-tailored systems, gender-tailored policies that offer additional consideration for those that are not able to meet within the current setting. By including men and women in the design, implementation and evaluation of success, TB control efforts can become more reflective and lived based on realities and more ethical. In conclusion, examining the existing gender disparity in tuberculosis care, seeking through a ethical lens, one can reasonably argue that such inequities are not only a matter of public health concern, but as well a moral obligation demanding for ethically grounded approaches to address such inequities. Thank you for listening.